Alright everyone, welcome back. Casters regained their consciousness. With Kuzuki by her side, she extends her awareness to the entire church. It was all for naught. Ambushes won't work on Caster anymore. Tosaka barely has any strength left, and I only have 2 swords left. This is bad. If they use her to attack us in this state, we won't be able to see the light of day ever again.
感謝しますわ、マスター。あなたがいなければ、あのまま倒されていました。
筋はいい。今はセーバーを起こせ。甘く見ていい相手ではなさそうだ。
ええ、的確な判断ですわ、マスター。
Caster raises her hand and points at her on the altar. She's visible, bound by magical curses. Just as Caster's about to set her free.
ああ、それがあと数秒ほど早ければな。
The sound came from above. I can hear the whisper coming from the stairs above me. Caster was the first one that noticed something was wrong. Kuzuki can't tell. Why? Because Kuzuki can't detect traces of magical energy. Caster is on the move. Countless amount of swords can be seen, floating above Caster's master. Above Soichiro Kuzuki.
Soichiro!
Perhaps Caster understood that she wouldn't be able to block the attack. She now stands in front of her master, trying to shield him from the assault. I was certain that voice above me uttered such words. The room is now silent. The floating swords turn their gaze upon a single target on the floor and rain down upon them, piercing them. Swords vanish after they have cut through flesh and bone, leaving behind only traces of crimson. She chose to be a shield. Dragging her bloodied body, the woman looks back to the man she tried to protect. Kuzuki says nothing, while his servant stands in front of him with countless piercing wounds. Maybe she feels she doesn't have to hide it anymore. Taking down her hood, the woman shows her real face and slowly approaches her master. And that there ends Caster. Her body is crumbling. At the brink of her death, the woman looks upon her emotionless master. She gently caresses the man's face with her hand. I will say this though, unlike her actual origin storyline, her master never betrays her, at least. He may not have cared for her in the way that she was hoping for someone to care for her, but he did care in his own way. Her breath getting shallower with each fading second, Kuzuki shows no changes. He simply utters a short confirmation, and he does not even bother to turn his gaze on Caster. This is fine. Wait. The woman lets out a smile, realizing that perhaps she's content because of this man. The woman's hand drops down from the man's face. Caster's body starts to disintegrate from her feet.
悲嘆することはない。お前の望みは私が代わりに果たすだけだ。
His simple and straight answer makes her smile. She smiles and looks at him like she's staring into a fading dream.
それはダメでしょうね。だって私の望みはさっきまで叶っていたんですから。
The great witch fades away as she falls to her eternal slumber. Her purple robe falls to the ground. Without its owner, the robe also follows its master and fades into the wind. Not spending a moment looking at Caster, Kuzuki had turned his attention to that guy. To the guy probably standing above me. To the knight wearing a red cloak. My head hurts. It's not from the burn of projecting too many weapons. It's that chant. The chant that came out of that guy's mouth is attacking my brain with a constant feeling of nausea. Trey-san. I'm certain that's what he said. I keep telling myself it's not possible for him to whisper those words, but without a doubt, he uttered those exact words. Archer walks down to the church. Tosaka stares at Archer and is probably still doubting her own eyes.
あーちゃもしかしたらって思ってたけどそういうこと
Archer's not saying a word. He focuses his sight solely on his enemy, Kuzuki.
獅子心中の虫か。初めからこれを狙っていたな、アーチャー。
ああ。だがどちらかといえばトロイの木馬だろう。倒すべきがギリシャの英傑であったのだからな。例え話としてはそちらの方がふさわしい。
Archer betrayed Caster right in front of her master, yet he shows no trace of regret facing the same man.
そうか。お前のような男を引き込んだキャスターの落ち度だったな。
Even with the traitor standing in front of him, Kuzuki shows no changes in his tone. He still has fight left in him. He's not a mage and he lost Caster, but Kuzuki still has the will to keep his fight going. He resumes his combat stance. Without Caster, Kuzuki's combat ability should have decreased drastically. Even if he's still the same dangerous Viper, Caster's boon that turned his fist to steel should have been gone by now. Despite that, Kuzuki still decides to face Archer.
そうか。続けるというのなら止めはしない。
Archer takes up his swords. There are unseen sparks between them. The battle is set to begin. Is that really for the best? Kuzuki said he's not interested in the Holy Grail. He was simply here to accompany Caster. Truly a master in name only. If that's the case, there shouldn't be any more reasons for Kuzuki to keep fighting now that Caster is gone.
待て、どうして続けるんだクズキ。あんたはキャスターの言いなりになってただけだろう。キャスターはもういないんだから戦う理由はないはずだ。
My head hurts so much that my consciousness is fading, but I'm fixing my sights on both of them. Kuzuki closes his eyes for a brief moment and answers.
そうだ。戦う理由などない。お前と同じく私は聖杯などに興味はなかったからな。
なら。
だがこれは私が始めたことだ。それを途中でやめることなどできない。
It's simple. His answer is plain and simple. The fight begins. This battle between them will probably end in a single encounter. Even if Kuzuki possesses martial arts and skills beyond that of a simple human, his opponent is a servant. Simply being better than normal humans is not enough. This fight is just an excuse to tighten up a loose end. This is the fate of the loser. A fight between the two masters is always going to be kill or be killed. So what's going to happen to Kuzuki is to be expected. If one is going to have a problem with this, then don't ever step into this war. Even so, if I can stop them, why shouldn't I try? Why would I stop them? Let me save here. Yeah, why shouldn't I try? If there's a way for him to be saved, if there's a way to resolve this without killing, is it so wrong to wish for it? I don't mind being called naive, and I know I'm a hypocrite. To a master, defeating your opponent means killing them. They're all aware of this fact before getting themselves involved thus far. They chose to fight knowing they'll have to kill or be killed trying. I know how much of a coward I am for wanting to step in and stop them from fighting. And yet, if I had already decided to fight for someone, to help someone, then I can't afford to lose a life when that life can be spared.
やめろ。勝負はついた。これ以上は。
I try to stop them while enduring my headache. In that moment, Kuzuki makes his move. Maybe my move gave him an opening. Kuzuki shortens the distance between him and Archer in an instant, and strikes right between his eyes. A strike that should have shattered anyone's skull, yet Archer decided not to dodge the deadly attack. A sound can be heard as the attack makes contact with Archer's head. The Red Knight chose to withstand Kuzuki's strike, and used the opportunity to pierce through Kuzuki's chest. And that ends him too, huh? There's only silence. No one could utter a sound. Even I'm at a loss for words. Soichiro Kuzuki is dead. He died on the path he chose, like a ghost who left behind no words of longing, nor feelings of regret or hope. My head hurts. I'm not sure if it's because my stress magic circuit is pressing against my nerves, or because I can't forgive Archer for killing Kuzuki without even batting an eye, or because I'm mad at myself for being utterly powerless to oppose. Without knowing the cause, the sharp pain in my head gets even sharper. I turn my head towards the sound. With Caster gone, the binding curses should be undone. In front of the altar, at the back of the church, Saber hits the floor. Still lying on the floor, Saber's breathing is labored and in pain. Seeing her like that makes me forget about my headache.
Saber!
I rush towards her. I'm annoyed that even the few meters between me and her feel so far away.
Shiro.
Saber looks up. Seeing me running towards her, Saber lets out a sigh of relief. She suddenly tackles me and sends me flying. A sudden blow from the side, I was knocked down without resisting. My body is sent flying and bounces hard against the floor. My back lands first on the floor. I'm still confused by what just happened, but just as I look up, in that moment, I hear the sound of metal clashing again. What I see is Saber armoring up, and right in front of her, on the ground where I had stood, there are multiple swords piercing the floor.
外したか。
It's him. He lets out a sound of disappointment as he keeps his sight on Saber. Not even able to stand upright, Saber glares at Archer. I don't have to guess the reason. He fired his sword and tried to kill me from behind my back. Saber knows what he was trying to do and instantly covered for me. Tosaka stands there looking at him dumbfounded while Saber wields her sword as she's gasping for breath. Even if their positions are different, they harbor the same question. Now that caster's defeated, why is Archer trying to kill Shiro Emiya? Only Archer and I stood unfazed by the interaction. That's right, I'm not surprised at what just happened. We have despised each other from the very beginning. We have stood against each other knowing we will never get along. We both reject each other's existence, not even knowing why. Why? The reason behind why we just reject each other, if it's really what I think it is, of course he would want to kill me. I try to stand up after being knocked to the floor. Saber was pretty desperate. She probably charged into me without being able to hold back. Because of that, she can barely catch her breath. That's why I must stand up. If the Saber I knew were to tackle me, it wouldn't be this weak. Right now, she barely has strength to even face me. If she's to go up against Archer in that body of hers, it would be no different than suicide.
Hacha, 何のつもり?
Tosaka approaches Archer. Of course, she's confused. Archer only sided with Caster so he could betray her at the end and kill her. Now that he succeeded, there's no reason for Archer to attack me.
芝居はもう終わりでしょ? キャスターは倒したんだから、もう勝手な真似は許さないわよ。
許さない。わからないな。 なぜ私が許されなければならないのだ。私のマスターでもないお前に。
はーちゃん。
お前との契約は切れている。自由になった私が自ら進んで人間の手下になると思うのか。
Tosaka looks upon Archer like she still can't believe what she just heard, but then a sudden realization hits her.
まさかあーちゃん。
私は私の目的のためだけに行動する。だがそこにお前がいてはいささか面倒だ。
Tosaka jumps back. She distances herself from Archer and starts running towards me while I'm still trying to stand up. But Tosaka was not able to do that. A storm of swords 2 meters tall is raining down. The swords come down in a circular pattern, stabbing the floor to create a cage. The circular cage with barely enough space for a single human. The instant the cage is formed, Tosaka is trapped in the middle of it.
ここまで来て邪魔はさせん。契約が切れた今、お前にかけられた0時の縛りも存在しない。キャスターについた理由はそれだけだ。あの0時を無効にするためには契約を破棄せねばならなかったからな。
Archer starts walking, turning his back on Tosaka, who's now trapped in a cage of swords. He's not walking towards Saber, but towards me, while I still have my knee on the floor.
やっぱりなんでよあーちゃん。あんたまだシロを殺すつもりなの？
そう。自らの手でエミやシロを殺す。それだけが守護者となり果てた俺のただ一つの願望だ。
何？
Strength is returning to Saber's body. She collects her thoughts, focuses her strengths, and shifts herself between Archer and myself.
あーちゃん、あなたはまさか。
そうだ。いつか言っていたな、セイバー。俺には英雄としての誇りがないのかと。無論だ。そんなものがあるはずがない。この身を埋めているのは後悔だけだよ。俺はね、セイバー。英雄になどならなければよかったんだ。
Saber's will to fight is leaving her body. Maybe she has suddenly understood something. Whatever it may be, she no longer has any animosity towards Archer.
そういうことだ。引いているがいい、騎士を。マスターがいない身で無茶をすればすぐに消えるぞ。もはやエミやシローにはマスターの資格がない。肩入れしたところで君の望みには届かない。
それはできない。マスターで亡くなったとしても契約は消えない。彼を守り剣になると誓った。聖杯戦争など知らなかった彼はそれでも私の一方的な誓いに応えてくれた。その信頼を裏切ることなどできない。
She holds up her invisible sword, but the brave and gallant knight is nowhere to be seen.
そうか。ならば偽りの主ともどもここで消えろ。
Swords appear in Archer's hands. What? Saber can't even withstand Archer's attack as she is right now.
バカ、逃げろセイバー。
I stand up and try to reach out for Saber. Maybe she's trying to stay away from my reach. Saber focuses all her strength to her feet and rushes towards Archer. The fact that she still has energy to even fight is amazing to me. Thank goodness we have Saber. The fight's over in a few rounds of trading blows. The old Saber would have undoubtedly overpowered Archer, but now she can barely swing her sword for seconds before she's down on her knees. Saber doesn't even have a sword in her hand anymore. In an effort to resist Caster's curse, she used up all of her magical energy. For Saber now, even taking in air is an effort. She's facing down all fours on the floor and trying her hardest just to maintain her existence. Archer raised his arms. He swings his swords down upon the defenseless Saber. I rush in. And I muster up all my strength to block Archer's attack. I hold up my two swords. With the weapons I instantly projected in my hand, I fixed my sight on the Red Knight.
おう。あとしばらくはおとなしくしていると思ったがな。さすがに目の前で女が殺されるのは耐えられないか。
うるさい。お前が殺したがってるのは俺だろう。なら相手を間違えるな。
The two of us continue to face off with each other. We both hold twin swords in our hands. Even though our stature may differ, our stance is absolutely identical.
人真似もそこまで行けば本物だ。だが、お前の体はその魔術講師に耐えられるかな。
A clear mockery. But like he said, I am at my limit. My headache won't stop and my accelerated magic circuits are at their limit because of my repeated projection. In my current state, if I continue to trade blows with him while maintaining the swords, my brain will explode before he cuts me down.
前に忠告したな。お前に投影は扱えないと。分不相応の魔術は身を滅ぼす。お前をここまで生かしてきた奇跡の代償。ここで支払うことになったな。エミヤシロ。
Archer is charging towards me.
黙りやがれ、てめえ!
At that moment, I meet Archer's swords with my own, with such intensity as if it would make me forget about my headache. I swing my weapons. My movement is simply a mimicry of my opponent's. If my swords are borrowed, so is the skill to wield them. That's why there's no way I can match him. Even if I'm at my peak condition, I'm not able to defeat him. A fake can come close to the real thing, but it will never surpass it. That's why I didn't have a chance to stand up to this man from the beginning. He told me to drown holding on to my ideals. He also told me my life was a lie. I couldn't say anything to him because he was my ideal. The power to realize the impossible. A man who became a heroic spirit after saving so many others. I'm the one who wished to become like that. That's why I can't win. The man standing in front of me is the one who has reached the end of my ideal. If this man is truly the same person who wanted to become stronger to save others, the embodiment of Shiro Emiya's ideals. The sword shattered. While I was able to block his attack, I lost my swords in the process. My consciousness is fading. My body's uninjured, but what's inside of my body is bleeding, slowly, withering away.
納得がいったか。それがエミヤシロの限界だ。無理を積み重ねてきたお前にはふさわしい幕切れだろう。
He raises his sword. Just when I try to discern which side the sword is going to cut down from with my fading consciousness.
告げる。汝の身は我が元に、我が命運は汝の剣に。聖杯のよるべに従い、この断りに従うのなら。
Tosaka's dignified voice echoes in the church. Maybe he was distracted by that. The sword strike loses its momentum, if that's the case. Even in my current body, I can dodge that attack. I rolled away on the floor to create some distance. Archer clicks his tongue. He doesn't go after me and looks at Saber on the floor.
我に従え。ならばこの命運、汝が剣に預けよう。
Tosaka's reaching her hand out to Saber from her cage of swords. Responding to her call, Saber rushes to Tosaka with all her strength.
セイバーの名にかけ誓いを受ける。あなたを我が主として認めよう。リン。
This is the contract that should have happened. Saber is finally able to get the master she deserves. Winds gather and swirl around Saber. Oh, cool. Perhaps it's because she's gotten her real power back now that she has a proper master. The saber-fisting archer now is not the same person as before. What is this? I'm not the only one stunned by this sight. Even Archer's enchanted by what's happening. A surge of magical energy and a set of armor that's impervious to damage. That enormous magical energy, which is enough to overwhelm anyone, is truly infinite. That is Saber, the heroic spirit of the sword that is said to be the most powerful of servants.
ノートよりリンと再契約させるつもりだったが、いささか手順が違ってきたか。
Maybe he can't spare any effort on me anymore, but Archer's only focusing on Saber.
それでどうするセイバー。リンと契約した以上、君は本当にエミやシロとは無関係になったわけだ。
言ったはずです、アーチャー。素人の誓いはなくならないと。
Saber says with determination. Irritated by her words, Archer grips his swords.
あなたこそどうするのです、アーチャー。あなたが白を手にかけるというのなら、私は全力でそれを阻む。考え直すのなら今のうちです。今の私を相手にして勝機があるとは思わないでしょう。
Saber's words are true. Saber, in her condition now, could go against Berserker one-on-one and still walk away victorious. Doesn't matter who Archer is, he can't win against Saber. He understands that better than anyone yet.
たかだか魔力が戻った程度で、よくもそこまで強気になる。
Not letting her respond, Archer charges at Saber. Swords clash. The bolt of crimson rushes towards Saber, and Archer swings with all of his might. Saber blocks the attack without even flinching. Their difference in stature and even Archer's sudden burst of speed make no difference. Saber parries Archer's attack with ease. Yet Archer is the one who falls back despite being on the offense. A single strike with utmost power and precision. Not only was it blocked, he even lost his balance in the process. Archer falls back without hesitation, seeing an opening. Saber attacks Archer with a fierce onslaught. There's nothing Archer can do other than block Saber's attacks. If he tries to counter, Saber's sword will split his skull in that opening. No, he doesn't even have the spare effort to think about countering. The only resistance allowed for Archer is blocking Saber's attack until he runs out of strength. Even then, that won't last long. The magical energy imbued in Saber's sword is chipping away at Kancho and Bakuya. The twin swords can't stand any more of Saber's attacks, nor does Archer have much strength left. Woo! The end came sooner than expected. Not able to withstand Saber's assault, Archer falls down on his knees. Saber stops for a short moment, then swings down her sword. That decisive strike, Archer stopped it with a crossed arm by his swords. The fight ends there. While Archer did stop Saber's attack, he can't move another inch. If he lets go even an ounce of his strength, Saber's sword will cut him in half from the skull down. Pouring all his strength into his arms, Archer stops Saber's strike. Sweat is dripping down Archer's forehead, and he's gasping for breath. In contrast, Saber is calm and collected. In close-range combat, it's impossible for an Archer-class servant to win against a Saber-class.
ここまでです、アーチャー。先ほど私の身を案じていましたが、それはあなたにも言えることだ。キャスターを倒すためにあれだけの宝具を使った今、魔力は残り少ないはずです。加えて、この世にとどまるためのマスターもいない。魔力の供給もままならない今のあなたに何ができる？
それこそ余計な世話だ、セイバー。アーチャーのサーバントにはマスターがおらずとも単独で存在する能力がある。マスターを失ったとしても2日は存命できよう。それだけあればあの小僧を仕留めるには十分だ。
バカな、まだそんなことを言うのですか？あなたの望みは聖杯ではなく白を殺すことだとでも。
Archer didn't respond. His cold eyes simply stare at the baffled and troubled Saber.
なんということを。アーチャー、あなたの望みは間違っている。 なぜそのような結末を望むのですか。そんなことをしてもあなたは。
Be saved. Saber bites down her lips before she can finish her sentence.
間違えている。